Hello and welcome to another episode of Bare Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, hang on. That is not Munich War. That's not any of the other games you've mentioned lately. That is true. I admit that not exactly what we're getting into here today. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train, to quote Ozzy. Yeah, we're actually going to be doing a game that came out, I believe in 2009, if I remember correctly, where there is Discord, War in the South Atlantic, about the Falkland Islands campaign. Done by Fifth Column Games, as I recall, designed by Daniel Hodgson. Whoops, sorry about that, lost the lid. This lid is gigantic, by the way. I mean, if you know anything about this game, it's like, holy crackers. Matches the map. Which, again, holy crackers. I haven't played this very much recently. I played this like crazy when it first came out. What you see in front of you here is my 23rd play. I've only played it once, though, since 2015. And just as kind of an explanation very quickly here, it's not anything about the game. The game is a lot of fun, in my opinion. But it's more of a kind of, I guess you could say, a personal thing. This was the game that I was playing the night before my mom passed away. I used this game to keep me awake and stay up all night, giving her morphine doses every hour on the hour. And this is what I played, which, you know, playing games lights your brain up, keeps you awake. So this is what I use. So I've been a little reluctant to play it. I've only played it once since, and that was 4.5 years ago. But I decided to dust it off, pull it out here, kind of move on, rip the scab off, so to speak, you know, that kind of thing. So anyway, just to let you know, it's nothing about the game. You know, it's kind of like The Godfather. Right? I mean, it's a kind of inverted of The Godfather. You know, it's personal, it's not business. So anyway, speaking of which, one other thing before we start. If you are interested in this and interested in why, and if you played this before, why the Argentinian Air Force did not launch more attacks, the answer can be found here. I stumbled across this book years ago, and it has, let me just show you here real quick, it has quite a few chapters on different things here. You can see there's a chapter about Poland and the Arab Air Forces, even Austro-Hungarian, the Regia Aeronautica, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, for our Italian friends. And ones you can see I highlighted the chapters I've already read. I had the Imperial Japanese Forces too, but there's the Argentinian one. And this one, this author here, he's the one that wrote the book about the Luftwaffe, explaining how it ended up being the way it was, which is interesting because he, like a lot of other authors really talk about how Germany really was building operational things and doctrine rather than strategic, which is a whole nother separate topic for another time. Alright, so I am ready to roll, so let's do this. Alright, we are on turn 4. The turn track is up here and doubles also as information track for supply for the Argentinian ground forces for the campaign and also for the Exocet missiles, which I can think of a word that matches closely Exocet for what I think of them. Okay, down here, of course, you got your air bases, all the Argentinian planes. You got your opinion. You got to watch this. You got international opinion and world opinion, rather, international opinion and domestic opinion. You got to watch those. And then, of course, over here you have the task force itself, which, if I remember correctly, this whole formation and stuff here was actually developed by Chester Nimitz. And then we got some other places down here too. Now, some of the stuff we won't need this time around because I'm going to do a few turns just to show you the mechanics. Things are about to pick up here a little bit. Actually, things did last turn. If you look over here, you can see my little glow-in-the-dark green skull dice. That's because I already lost a ship. I know, it's like, what? It's May 4th and I lost a ship already. Argentinian sub slipped through the defense zone and got his torpedo on target, and that was that. So, unfortunately for me, yeah. So, anyway. So, things have not started off so well. The Iron Lady is not happy with yours truly. But I'm going to try and pick up the pace and get moving. One thing I will say about this game real quick, kind of some tidbits here and there, a little bit like a review, I guess, too. The rulebook is rough. It's not organized as a sequence of play, which, in my opinion, solitaire games, it always should be, or it should be programmed like the way Carrier is. But this card is very good because you can see here, I'll get close up, you can see for every step they tell you exactly which rule section to look at, okay, until you get it down pat and you got everything worked together, okay? So that's very cool. I like that idea. All right, so here we go. So I already advanced the turn marker. I've already done the weather. The weather is gray, so there's no effect on anything. Time now for our event card. And let me tell you, these events are a colossal uber pain in the dupa at times. So let's see what we get. So, our event card is card number 21. Tell the French to get their wires crossed. Alright, what does that mean? Well, in this game, you get this nice little booklet that's all about the random events. At the end, there's some information about technical stuff, but you just basically take your card number 21, you turn to page 21, there it is, blackjack, and now you just read it. So I can either do nothing, roll 1d4, and add that number of exocets, I think I'm pronouncing that right, to the existing stock. Or ask the French to remove the technicians. Now this is a bunch of boilerplate, but at the end, the most important thing is international support falls by 1. Now let me tell you, those exocets are mother truckers. So I avoid them like the plague if I can. So I'm going to go ahead and risk dropping international opinion down to an 8. Now unfortunately, that also means, when that happens at times, that you will end up losing certain markers and certain advantages. So I will no longer have Chilean, Chilean surveillance is gone, okay? It's history, okay? So unless I can get the opinion back up, that's going to be a little bit of a blow. It's not a huge blow. It gets worse as you go further down the track. But I mean, it is a bit of a cause for concern. Okay, so that's our event card. Now, there also are cards in the game that are situation report. The situation report looks like this. It tells you different things. It tells you the air alert assessment level, what level there is, what air bases are active, and how much effort the Argentinian Air Force will make. And notice here, now I can begin supply interdiction. Now, pacing this, because of course, you have until basically the end of May to pull this off, becomes important, because the faster you go through these sit rep cards, the more dangerous and more active the Argentinian Air Force in particular will become. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this down here on my sit rep spot, because I always like to interdict enemy supply if I can help it. And if you're wondering about this over here, the polling station card, some event cards you can delay and you can hold on to them until you want to execute them. This is basically for a by-election, so I can use it whenever I want to raise domestic opinion and bring it back up. Because if domestic opinion ever hits 0, you lose the game. You know, thanks for playing. The Thatcher government is down, so to speak, which I know some of you would love and some of you would not, but we're not getting into that anyway. So, we got the situation report. Okay, now, reinforcements. Well, we don't have any reinforcements yet. Reinforcements show up on the track with the flag here, so we don't get any reinforcements until the 13th. It's only the 4th. So no reinforcements to worry about at this point. Okay, British submarine placement. Now, with the game, I'm going to slide over this way because this is where most of the action takes place. With the game here, you have naval patrol boxes. You have coastal, which is right near Argentina, as we used to say in La Clase de Español. You have the search box and the exclusion box. This, of course, is closer to Argentina. This is closer to the task force. Now, the British begin the game with 3 subs, and you can place them in any one of these boxes. Now, of course, the closer you place it to Argentina, the more provocative things can get, and the more sporty things can get. Okay? If you just want to protect the task force, you can go back here. Well, I've already lost a ship. So I'm going to come over here and move these guys into the search box. I'm going to leave these guys in the exclusion box, just in case somebody slips past us. Okay? So you can put the submarines in whichever boxes you want each and every turn. That is totally up to you. Okay? Now, task force display. Now, up here is the task force. And up here, of course, I've got my carriers in the middle. And then we got our ring. Now, again, I had a ship sunk. So that was a big blow because we don't get any reinforcements till the 13th. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shuffle one of these guys here to cover this space. Now, I want to cover this space because if the Argentinians manage to attack, If there's nobody home here, they go to the center where the troop transport is and where the aircraft carriers are. And I don't need that kind of aggravation this early in the game. So I'm going to take one of these guys and move them down here to the southeast box. Okay? Alrighty. Now, next step. Cap placement. Now you can put caps up. You can put up to 2 aircraft in any particular box or around the defense zone if you want. Right now I don't have any Argentinian ships out in the water. So the Argentinians have 3 forces basically. They have a patrol force, a battle group force, and then they have a force with a carrier as well too. So those are off the board yet. They're not even ready to roll. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. So I'm not going to put my planes up on cap, because if you look down here, you can see aircraft carrier operations that, you know, when they're done, they go to the flown box, then the next turn is arming, and then they finally are ready again. So you do have to watch your carrier air operations with your Harrier jump jets as you go through this. Okay? Now, supply interdiction. Supply interdiction, basically I can do now. Okay, supply interdiction is important because when you finally do launch your ground force, when you launch your ground invasion, which takes place over here in the San Carlos display box, if the Argentinian troops have full supply, that can make a big difference. But until that happens, you can commit airstrikes to basically interdict the supply so that they can't get there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, so my sit number is 4. I can take up to 5 Harriers from ready boxes, which everybody's ready, okay? And I can go after the supply. So I'm going to go ahead and launch, I'll launch these 3 guys from, I forget which carrier this is. I don't know if it's the Hermes or the Invincible. But anyway, I'm going to launch these 3 planes. And usually you bring planes over here to this combat display area down here. So I'll just put them over here. And I'm going to roll 1 die, 1 d6. By the way, you need a lot of dice for this game. Okay? You need a d6, a d10, a d4, a d8, and a d12. That's right. 5 different dice. That is a little BSC. But it's a little fun too. So, I need to roll 1 d6 for each of the planes I just committed to supply interdiction. And on every roll of a 1 or a 2, I've been successful. And I will go ahead and knock them down by 1. So let's see what I get for my flight here. Closing in. Looking for the enemy. Not too shabby. So, first supply interdiction mission works out pretty well. I've got a 1, a 2, and a 5, so that's 2 hits. So we'll move the supply marker down to 12. We'll take these 3 box planes and we'll move them to the flown box. So they will be there for this turn. Okay. Now, next thing I can do is I can place the SAS marker. I was told by some of our British friends that you don't actually, like in America, what we would do is we would pronounce it, I did this before, SAS, but you don't actually do that, it's SAS. Now, having them there gives you some early warning if aircraft takes off from bases. They're basically a commando team set there to watch the bases and, you know, let you know. Now, right now, there's only 2 bases that are active. We have Trelu, which is up here with some Canberras, which are, quite frankly, crap. And then down here we have Rio Grande. Now this one you want to be careful of because these little buggers are the ones that have the Exocet Missiles. So you want to keep an eye on those devils. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and so we have as much warning as we can. I'm going to put my SAS team down here at the bottom. Let me just double check here what the Chilean thing does. But I'm pretty sure it doesn't affect the SAS team. Because again, like I told you before at the outset here, I haven't really played this that much in the last few years. But I have gotten warmed up for the first couple of turns here. Okay, so the Chilean government can allow it if there's no Nimrods and the SAS is not present. but I do have that, so no worries there. So basically, the benefit of that is to help you scramble the Harriers if you don't actually have Harriers up on cap. Okay? Alright, so we're all done with that. And now it's time to move on to the Argentinian naval deployment. Now, for every single submarine in the game that's either in port or out in the water, you're going to roll 3d4. Okay? The big thing to keep in mind about this game is the number 1 is the most important number in the game, because ones are the ones, that's a bit redundant, ones are the numbers that will have a big effect on things. So I'm going to roll for these guys out here. And if I roll a 1 on the 3, it will go in the coastal. If I roll 2, it'll go in the search, and 3 will take it to exclusion. So you can see mathematically, a lot of the times you're going to end up here. Now, if it's already in the coastal box and you don't roll any 1s at all, it stays where it is at. So those guys are not going to move because I just rolled 3 2s. So nothing going on there. They're hanging out by the coastal box, just chilling like a villain, so to speak. Okay? Now, the other thing we're going to do next, after that, is we are going to check on the surface group readiness roll. Now, again, there's the 3 surface groups. There's patrol, battle, and carrier. So we're going to roll a die for each, a different die, as a matter of fact, and we'll see if anybody's ready to head out. So the patrol is a D4. Oh, and look at that. Look at that, if I can get it to stay in my hand. It is a 1. So if a 1 is rolled, that particular group, the patrol group here, which is the weakest of the 3 groups, it will go over here into the ready for war box. Okay? We have, the submarine, I should have slid over here to port when the submarines were done. The battle group is a D6, so of course, as you can see, statistically, it's going to have less chance. It was a 3, so they'll hang out. And then last but not least, the carrier force is a D8, which of course is even less of a chance getting ready to roll. And it's a 2. They thought about it. Okay. Now keep in mind, if you're wondering, did these things ever get in the game? When you start the invasion, if they're not out there yet, everybody and their mother is going to show up. Okay? So don't worry too much about that, because they will indeed be coming. And again, the rule book is not organized very well, but when you go to the sections that talk about the different rules, they are extremely detailed with them about what to do. Okay? Alright. So we've got everybody set up here. Everybody's all set. We're in the ready for war box. And now they're going to slide in to the port box. So next turn, the patrol and the submarine will be ready to go out and cause some havoc, potentially. We'll see how things go. Okay, now, if you had British subs in the same box with either Argentinian subs or surface groups, then you would do some search rolls. Well, we don't have any of that, so we don't need to worry about sub versus sub combat. We don't have to worry about British sub versus surface or Argentinian surface versus British sub. Now, we do have to worry about Argentinian Navy versus the task force. So, with the task force, each unit has, on the chart here, you can see Argentinian subs, depending on where it is the gray column. So here, I'm going to roll for that one Argentinian sub, because it's in the coastal region, I am going to roll a D10. If I hit a 1, then they will engage the task force group. So let's see what happens here. And it is a 7. So, nothing doing there. Okay? So we don't have to worry about them engaging because there's nobody else out there. Alright, we don't have to do that. Now we need to do scramble, surveillance, and early warning. Okay, so we're going to do the scramble roll. Now the scramble roll is for the bases. To do the scramble roll, we're going to roll and see this number, level 3. We're going to roll a D10. If the die roll is less than, notice less than, not equal. If it's less than, then there will be a sortie. And this down here tells you how many sorties a turn. Right now it's light, so it'll only be 1 sortie per turn. Okay? So let's see if that happens. And one thing to keep in mind is if you roll a 1, there always is a sortie, no matter what kind of modifiers there are, because there are modifiers for the weather. And a 10 is always end of story. Thanks for playing. Oh, we have a 2. Oh, actually we have a 2. So that's good. That is below level 3. So we are going to have an airstrike. All right, here we go. So we're going to find out which airbase has the responsibility to do that. Now, a 1 through 9, it's Trelu, and then a 9 and 10, it is the Rio Grande base. So let's find out with those lousy Exocets. Holy jumping Jehoshaphat. It is a 9. Oh, so that means the planes are coming from Rio Grande. Now, normally you would roll to see how many planes that you would have coming. You would check on all that stuff, but with Rio Grande, it's always 2 planes. Okay, basically one plane has the Exocet, the other one does not. Okay, so everybody's scrambling. We'll get the raid placement marker down. So let's go ahead and let's check that out here. Okay. Alright, so we put the raid marker on the track, keeping track of exactly how many sorties we have and we're dealing with here. Okay, because there could be another one. Here we go. So we're going to put that on the raid track here. I usually just put it above the scramble. Oh, here it is. There we go. There's the sortie level number 1. Okay. All right. Now, and I usually put something on it just to remind me, because once you start getting rolling, you have more than one sortie. Sometimes you can forget whether you've done the sortie or not. I go ahead and do that to remind myself that I've placed it there, and then I'm ready to roll again next time. Okay. Now, Nimrod early warning procedure. So let's see about the Nimrods. The Nimrod should still be on station. Okay. So we'll see if it's been detected by the Nimrods. Okay. The Nimrods are there. All right, we roll a d6 on our 1 or a 2. The raid has been picked up. It is a 6, so no dice. All right, now if it hasn't been picked up by that, then we go on to see if the SAS has picked it up or not. The SAS is there, so it's a good thing I moved them down there. I guess I had a hunch about what was happening. Okay. So we're going to find out the rating composition, but can't vector the Harriers directly to their targets. All right. So we're going to do the squadron attack roll. Okay. So we'll figure out what's going on with that here in a second. And then we're going to scramble our Harriers to intercept the range. Okay. Let's see. So the squadron attack roll, I think it's basically, if I remember correctly, that's all about how many planes are coming. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And send them straight to their targets. All right. So that we're not going to be able to find out here with the SAS. All right. Let's see. Just bear with me here for a second. All right. Yeah, because the squadron attack table would tell me how many are coming but not where. So now I can scramble my Harriers to intercept the raid. Okay. I can go ahead and scramble those guys into the air and get them out. So I'm going to go ahead and scramble. Let's see, how many can I scramble here? You can total any number of Harriers can scramble to the raid, but only 2 in one spot. Okay, and you won't have them available. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring the 2 red guys out to the defense zone. Put them way out. And let's see. Actually, no. You know what? I know I bring them down here to the box eventually. So let's bring them down here to the box to try and deal with the situation there. I don't know if I should scramble more or not. Let me think about this for a minute. Because Exocet attacks are a little bit different than that. But I'll tell you what, just for the purposes of this demonstration, I'll just scramble 2. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that. Okay. All right. So we don't have to worry about San Carlos or anything like that, but we do have Exocets. I haven't had to deal with the Exocet attack to this point here. So let's go ahead and let's take a look here for the air alert placement, which is the next part of the rolls. All right. Okay. Okay, so now we got to roll 2d6 and try to figure out exactly where this is going to come. Where is the incoming planes headed for? Okay. All right. So they're headed for 11. You know what? I did get ahead of myself. I should have had these. Well, I had them in the defense zone. So their target is going to be 11. So it's almost this place that I just had to remove and put that ship back in. Okay. So the air alert marker is right there. All right. Okay. Now, I don't have Harriers in that spot. So that's unfortunate, but you know, that's just kind of the way that goes, I guess. Okay. Nope. So I don't have any Harriers in there, so I guessed wrong. Alright. Now the Exocet is a different kind of thing here. So just give me 1 second here on dealing with the Exocet, because I'm pretty sure it's its own separate. Here we go, Exocet and standard bomb run. So there's no air-to-air combat to worry about here, because I don't have any of that to deal with. Because I didn't have my Harriers in the right spot. Who would have guessed it would have been 11? That's all kind of crazy. Alright. So here we go, Exocet attack. Okay. So we're going to do the surface to air procedure as normal. Okay, except if any of the Exocets survive the first surface to air combat round, okay, all aircraft and put them back at the Rio Grande. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's do the surface to air combat procedure. Alright, here we go. Alright, so we've got the range here as you're coming in. That's on the charts over here, by the way, too. Alright, the 30-mile marker. I'm trying to get a lock on the enemy. Okay, so I got to get the radar lock, which it is coming into 11. So the type of unit I have is the RTH one. Okay, so unfortunately their radar lock is a 4. That's it. That's not good on a D10. So that's going to cause some problems. All right. So I rolled a 3. Well, that is less than a 4. This is good. Except I think with the Exocet, that's going to cause a problem. Here. Where is... Okay, here we go. Well, actually, they can't fire that far out because it's 30 miles out on those guys. So those guys can't... Yeah, they can't even detect it. So that's not good. Okay, so the Exocet Missile is going to be released. That is unfortunate. Okay, so it's going to be reduced by 2. That's not good either. Alright, so radar lock is on there. Am I remembering this wrong? Let's see. Give me 1 second here, guys. Yeah, it has to be less than that. Okay. The radar lock number is reduced by 2, so it actually is a 2. So I rolled a 3. So that's really bad. That's that. Okay. So So the Exocet cannot be, I cannot detect them until 10 miles out. This is very, very bad for the situation I'm in here. By the way, I got to reduce the Exocet stock down to 4. So it's kind of a good thing I did not let the French do that there. So we rolled a 3, and the lock number is actually a 2. So right now they're literally on top of us. They're down to a range of 1. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. They have the different missile systems, okay? And RTH is what I have. Now if this is shaded, they can't detect that far out, okay? These ones here, you can try to detect with a different die. So actually I should have done the 8-sided die. So I need to try and lock that down again. We'll see if I can get that radar lock or not. Okay, so here's hoping that I can maybe get that radar lock nailed down here once I get to go ahead and get them within range. Because they are going to close in on fast on us there because of the Exocet missiles that are being used. So. Alright, so the missile system I have here, once I kind of get that radar lock, but the radar lock I'm going to have to try again. So the missile system, that 8, I'm sorry, the 8 was the hit, so I would, if I'd have found it, I would have been rolling an 8-sided die right now. But right now, I can't get a handle on those guys. So the missile has not been detected yet. So let's see if it's detected again. Again, I have to get 2 or less to find this sucker at a mile out. And I rolled a 5, so we are in deep deep. Okay, so no detection. The Exocet, a D6, it's going to hit on a 1 through 5. So I'm about to lose another ship, is what this amounts to. Hold on to your butts. Here we go. Whew, this is going to be bad. I can't even look. It's a 1. So the Exocet found its mark. And I just lost this ship. That's the second ship I've lost so far in the game. So now I got another big gaping hole in my task force zone. And my domestic opinion has dropped again by 1 with that sinking of that ship. Wow. That was unfortunate. This is not a good start to this game. Whew, maybe I should have left this on the shelf. Alright. So, I have lost a second ship. I don't know if I've lost 2 ships this early on in the game. Alright. Well, can't worry about it now. I still have to try to get down here and deal with things. Okay? Now, at this point, we would look to see if there's going to be another raid. Well, again, it's only light effort, so there's only 1 raid no matter what. So I really didn't even need to mark this. That's it. So they only got 1 raid in, but let me tell you, it was a heck of a raid. Whew. Alright. Well, now that that's all taken care of, now to the end, okay? So we're doing the Harrier Recovery. So I need to bring all these guys back to the recovery box, including the ones I did on the air, or the supply, rather, interdiction. So those guys have all flown. Then we're ready for Harrier refitting, which of course means we're not going to be, we're trying to get them, I should say, means we're getting them ready to get refitted and ready to roll there. Okay. So my flown guys are going to go to rearming, so they still won't be ready until the next turn. Okay. Scramble marker, I just basically push it up above the track to remove it. It just makes it easier, quite frankly, to do that. And no naval detection, no recovery, don't have to worry about the subs, and we remove the weather marker. So that was a god-awful, bloody turn. Alright. So now we're up to May the 5th. So May the 4th was rather ignominious, and I'm going to have to take the only other ship I have out. Not only that, but I'm going to have to slow down. Yeah. Okay, so the weather roll was a 5. So, a 5 is gray. Now, the back of the weather counters will tell you different things depending on what kind of weather there is. For example, right now, this is gray weather, so it's no effect. Okay? So I'm going to put that down where the current weather is. But the backs of other ones will tell you things like scramble modifier, and that it's harder to detect things, and also that when you land your Harriers, you just can't land them and everything's fine. You're going to have to roll a die, in this case an 8-sided die, to see if anybody crashes with that. So, okay, but that's for worse weather than what I've got right now here. I just have the gray weather. Alright, event card. Okay, so here we have number 43, those Whitehall pen pushers. Oh, I know this card. This card can be annoying. Okay, so let's find out about those Whitehall pen pushers here. Okay, so I have to make a WOD roll, which is basically the average of world opinion and domestic opinion put together. Okay, so in this case, they're both at 8. You add them together, 16 divided by 2 is 8. So that one's pretty easy. So if I have less than or equal to it, I have the orders to continue to proceed with a 10-sided die. So I need 8 or less. And this game of 0, by the way, if you haven't already kind of pieced that together, a 0 is a 10 in this game. So let's see what I got. Notwithstanding the guy that just jumped off the table here on me. I rolled a 3. Okay. So the 3 is going to be less. So let me go back to the page here in the booklet. Alright, I can proceed and I can discard the event, so that's it. Otherwise, if I had failed it, I'd hold the position. I don't draw a new sit rep card. If I wanted to this turn, I would have to basically hold my position, which right now, given the situation I'm in, that actually wouldn't have been a bad thing at this point. Now, there is the polling station, event card number 8. Domestic opinion is down to 8. I could go ahead and try to bring that back up. So let's go ahead and do that here. Okay, so now I'm going to roll a d10. Okay, less than or equal to the domestic opinion, which is an 8. The government has held the seat. It's a by-election. So it would rise by 1. However, if I lose it, then domestic and international opinion both fall by 1. This is not so good. But it is 8. Okay. Now, of course, then I said that out loud. You all know what's going to happen here in a second. So let's see if I can get 8 or less on a 10-sided die and win this election. So I'm going to go ahead and play this card, which I put off to the side. A polling station card. And I rolled a 6. Whew. Okay, good. That's excellent. So now we're going to come over here and bring domestic opinion back up to 9. Cool. All right. Okay. Now, situation report. Now, again, because of what's happened, and I don't get reinforcements like for another week, I'm going to slow down on the sit rep because the last thing I need is more airstrikes. Now, of course, that means in the long run, I could end up having some problems as regards being able to launch my invasion. But, you got to do what you got to do. So no reinforcements. The subs, I like the subs where they are. So no worries there. Task Force display. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take one of these guys from the defense zone to cover Sector 11. There's just no way around that. Okay. So if you look at here too, let me just show you real quick. But if you look here, it shows you, see all the dots? This tells you right here the chances of the attack coming here in this space or this space. And look at all those dots. And then look over here at 11. There's like 2. So the odds on that were incredibly low. Oh, what? Alright. Oh, but again, I'm glad I convinced the French to, not sell them buggers anymore. Exocet. Alright. Cap placement. Well, after what happened last time, now I have to watch here. In decision-making theory, we call this the recency effect. I'm not going to put a cap up. I'm going to leave it. Yeah, I'm going to leave it be. I'm going to leave the cap alone. Supplier interdiction. I will go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and launch these 3 guys off the Invincible. And roll again. 3d6. We're looking for 1s and 2s, everybody. Oh, I'm being Butterfingers tonight. Well, I got a 1, a 4, and a 5. So that's not bad. So we knocked it down by 1 more level to level 11. And then these guys will head for the flown box. So there they go. Okay. Alright. The SAS marker, well, I'm going to leave it where it is for obvious reasons, although it really didn't help us in the end. But I was able at least to scramble Harriers. It just was to the wrong spot. But that's a bit of a guessing game whenever you, whenever you do that. Alright, so now let's check for the sub out in the coastal space. Is he staying there? Or is he going to be moving on up? Like George and Wheezy. Let's see. Four-sided dice are so tricky. Now I rolled a 4, 4, and a 1. Now since he's already on the map and already in the coastal space, he will not move. So he's staying put. Okay. Now I do have the sub. The other Argentinian sub is up here in the ready for, or the port box. So he's ready to try and come out. So let's see what he gets. He also, of course, has 3 dice. Alright, 2 4s and a 3. Now that means he'll stay where he is. Remember, if there's no numbers, they stay exactly where they were. So he'll stay up there in the port box. Okay? Alright, surface group readiness roll. So we got to check on the battle group, which is a D6. And that's a 6, so they're not doing anything. And then the carrier group. The carrier group is a 3, so they're not ready for war yet either. They're not ready for prime time, as it were. Okay? Alright, now, the patrol group, remember, was all set to go. So now they're going to see if they come out to battle or not. So let's go ahead and let's check on their readiness roll and see if they come out, which they may or they may not. Okay, so we roll 3d6. So again, we're looking for 1s. 2 5s and a 4. So no 1s, which means they will stay right where they are. Okay? Alright, again, no sub versus sub combat because nobody has subs in the same spot. No sub and surface because there's no surface at all, and vice versa. Alright, now again, the submarine that's there in the coastal, they will search for the British task force. It is a 10-sided die, and they're looking to get a 1. Which already happened, by the way. That happened on May 3rd. And it's a 4, so no dice. So we don't have to worry about any kind of combat with the task force this turn. Okay. Alright, now we got to check to see about the scramble roll, to see if we get anything there. There's no modifier because there's no effect. Okay, and again, level 3, which means it has to be a 1 or a 2. It's a 3, so nothing doing there. So now we basically jump down to the end of the turn, because there's a whole slew of stuff, of course, that happens, as you noticed from the Exocet attack before. But now we're back to Harrier Recovery, Harrier Refitting, so these guys are ready. These guys are rearming. Okay. Scramble markers removed. There's no naval detection because there hasn't been any naval units yet. And we remove the weather marker as well. And now we move on to May 6th, which I still have an entire week before I get any reinforcements. So let's see what the weather's going to be like. The weather is an 8, which is either gray or misty. It's misty. Okay, so the misty one, basically you can see there it's a +1 on the scramble modifier. Okay, which is going to make it basically, you're going to have to be a 1 if you want anything to happen. Alright, let's see what the event is, and then I'll have a few comments to make, and probably call it a day, so to speak, because it has been, we've been going about this for a while, and I don't like to make my videos too long. Alright, so number 11, we have an unwelcome visitor. Oh boy. Let's see what that means. Look up in my trusty intelligence book, my briefing book. Actually, that's exactly what it says. See? Right there, it says intelligence briefing book. Alright, page 11. What are we having here? Okay, I can task a cap to intercept the intruders. I can take any ones that I want, put them in the flown box. Okay, 1d6. If it's a 1 or a 2, the Argentinian surveillance flight withdraws. Okay, or I can ignore it, and the event card remains face up on the board, and so long as it's there, the scramble modifier is 1. Well, since it's +1 right now, I think I'll wait and see, because there's no reason for me to really feel threatened by them, because it's going to cancel itself out. So it's basically only going to be a 20% chance that there'll be anything. So we'll put it here, though, to remind ourselves that it's up there surveillance, doing surveillance on us. Okay? Now, situation report. Again, I'm feeling still a little gun shy, so I probably will leave it sit rep at 4. And now we're back to task force deployment. Okay, now probably a lot of you remember I did a video last year, the year before. Believe it or not, it's been almost 3 years I've been at this here. About next month it'll be 3 years. I did Mrs. Thatcher's War by Ben Madison, and that game is very different from this one. I'm glad I own both, I will say that. Because if I want more detail, especially from the ground war, Madison's game is definitely better for that. This one is a nice overview of more of the naval air campaign. The landings, which again I'll try to get a video for that later on. The landings are a little different here, a little more abstracted. I mean, combat basically is abstracted for this, but this is more about making decisions. Making the choices that you would make as the carrier group leader, and also, of course, as politicians too, when it comes to the event cards, because you would not give the green light to deal with this surveillance aircraft if you were the carrier, the task force commander. So this one gives a nice feel. I don't know how many of these events are accurate and such. I've seen different things in discussions. I'm no expert on the Falkland Islands War. I remember it vaguely as a youngster, because I was 9 at the time when all this went down in May of '82. But it does give a good feel from what basic stuff I know, which is very basic, by the way. It does give a good feel. It does have good tension. You do have to make some important decisions on what to do. Especially the event cards. The event cards, there's really a lot of weighty things you have to do, and there's some serious issues that can come up with that. One thing I do, just for my own self, I'll just mention real quickly here, is the air bases, where the Argentinian air bases, as I shoot down Argentinian planes, I usually use a 20-sided die to kind of keep track of all that stuff, which of course I'll be very interested to keep track of this time, because I've already lost 2 ships, that's just ridiculous. I don't think I've ever lost 2 ships this fast in a game. So, alright, so the plan is next time around to come back to y'all with the ground invasion. Tentatively, that's the plan. I say tentatively because I've seen at least a couple of folks requesting some rules playthrough overview of Black Swan. Which, if you haven't seen Black Swan yet, you should check out the page on Board Game Geek. It's a new European theater World War II game that starts literally when World War II breaks out, with the whole situation with Poland and stuff. It's not much of a sandbox game. It really is a European theater. You're refighting World War II kind of thing. Coming down the pike, there's supposed to be some expansion rules that will give you more of a sandbox element to it, and then there's also supposed to be a Pacific equivalent, which I would look forward to actually quite a bit, which would be neat, because most of the Event of the Nuevos games have been a hit for me rather than a miss. But I guess Conquest and Consequence is supposed to be coming out later this year, but as you all know, with the pandemic hanging out in the background, it's kind of like all bets are off. You just have to be ready, and anything can happen, and it often does, kind of thing. So anyway, hopefully this is a little overview of the game. It'll give you an idea how it flows, how it goes. Sorry, I fumbled around a little bit with the Exocet raid, but that's the first one I've had this game, and that one is a little different. But again, the nice thing is that with the sequence of play card, every single step has the rule reference next to it. So if you don't remember, or like me, you're dusting the game off after how many years, it's all there. You just have to look it up and find it. But again, as you go through, you'll pick up speed. You'll remember things about what to do with the charts and target locks and missile systems and all that stuff is there. So, okay. So again, next time I'm not sure if I'll bring you the ground part of this. I may not get that far. Having 2 ships already sunk, I may not get that far. I may have domestic opinion may totally go down on me, or worse yet, I just won't have the ships to cover the invasion fleet when the troop transports come there. There's one already in the game, but there's other ones coming with a lot more, because if you look over here at this part, you can see here's all the troop ships. There's 4 little ones, and then there's the 2 big ones, the Canberra and the Queen Elizabeth II, I believe are the names of those. So yeah, so we'll see what's going to happen with that. I'm not optimistic, because I've never lost this many ships this early in the game. So we'll see. But then again, who knows? Again, maybe I'll pull an Aussie and go off the rails here again, and maybe next video will be Conquistador, the solo method. So you can see how that works and stuff. I already tried that with South America. Let me tell you, that was a bit of a bear. So I may end up trying the northern end of it, partly because the legends are so much more accessible than they are on the southern map. It's a serious uber pain in the duper with that. So, okay. So anyway, little look at this game, which again has been out now since 2009, I believe. And I know it's very scarce on the secondary market, so that was part of the reason I decided to go ahead and shoot the video, just so you can kind of see it. Again, you can see the map is out of proportion to what you need to play this game, but that's another story for another time. So again, where there's Discord, War in the South Atlantic. And this has been Tim Korchler from Bare Bones Wargaming, saying thanks for watching, and well, it'll either be Black Swan. Quite frankly, at this point, the next, I know Munich War, I know. The next video will probably be either the Conquistadors, or it will be Black Swan, depending on Black Swan. I still have some questions about the rules and stuff, so I just want to make sure I have everything down pat before I shoot a video, because I don't want to put bad information out there if I can help it. So I've only dabbled with it a little bit. I need a little more practice. So again, maybe Conquistadors will show up in between. Alright, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.